Trump in his battle with COVID-19. It's been more than 2 days since the president was airlifted to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. The president's medical team says he is doing well and he hopes to return to the White House soon. Anna Warnicki reports.
President Donald Trump surprised supporters outside Walter Reed Medical Center Sunday afternoon to thank them for the well wishes.
We're getting great reports from the doctors.
The president posted on Twitter that he's learned a lot about COVID-19 since testing positive on Thursday.
I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it.
White House physician Dr. Sean Conley said Sunday that the president is fever-free and off supplemental oxygen.
If everything continues to go well, we're going to start discharge planning back to the White House.
But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the president's medical team is giving mixed messages about the president's condition. She said Sunday on Face the Nation that the doctors need to be honest.
We have to have confidence in the judgment of the doctors who are treating him. When they give a presentation to the press, it has to be approved by the president. That's not very scientific.
So far, a number of the president's inner circle, including First Lady Melania Trump, Kellyanne Conway, and White House aide Hope Hicks, have all tested positive for the coronavirus.
There are privacy concerns we take very seriously, safeguarding the information of the personnel here in the White House.
White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany says because of privacy concerns, the White House will not release the exact number of staff who have been infected.
Let's bring in our Jesse Tenner from Washington. And Jesse, a lot of eyes right now on the White House and Trump and how he's recovering and the possibility, of more people testing positive. They're being pretty quiet about other people who have possibly tested positive.
Most definitely. The latest update that I just received on Twitter, Kayleigh McEnany has tested positive for COVID-19. She's the press secretary. She just tweeted out a statement saying that after consistently testing negative, she did test positive this morning. And so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But that is the latest in the Trump administration to test positive. She joins a growing list. I think there's at least 10 plus now. When you look at just everyone, even including journalists at the White House press corps that have now tested positive.
Yeah, and a lot of people coming down, if you've seen that picture where it shows all the people who have tested positive, a lot of people coming down hard saying, they weren't wearing masks, they weren't following the protocol that they themselves are preaching out to the public.
Right, and when you look at where they've been to just in the past week, of course, all eyes are on that Rose Garden nomination ceremony for Judge Amy Coney Barrett. When you look at video just from that, no masks, no social distancing. They are outside, though. But then what we've been learning since that event, too, is that there was a lot of meetings happening inside as well. And so that's why that's really being looked at as the potential super spreader event, even though that hasn't been said anything official by the White House.
And they haven't really talked much about the First Lady. She also came down with COVID-19, tested positive around the same time. Do we have an update on her condition?
I think the reason why we haven't heard a lot about her condition is just because it's been so minor. So it sounds like she's still, just has a little bit of like minor fatigue, minor headache, things of that nature. And so she definitely hasn't been put on the same treatment regimen as President Trump has. And since he is the president of the United States, he's definitely on a more rigorous treatment regimen than just you or I would be if we came down with COVID-19.
And obviously, the president wants to get healthy. He wants to get back on the campaign trail. This is a very busy and crazy time for this presidential race. So what's happening now is Mike Pence going to take over on his campaign trail? Because, COVID-19 is no joke. That things can linger for weeks. He could be out for a while.
Sure, but it sounds like, just over the past 3.5 years, it's like we all know President Trump is definitely not one to shy away from anything, especially when it comes to his own campaign. And so that's why we're hearing already that, his doctor's saying yesterday that he could potentially be released today and continue his treatment back at the White House. Reporters were called to Walter Reed, so we are expecting potentially an update here this afternoon on the president's condition. But it sounds like that's really politically driven. They want to make sure that he gets back as soon as possible, maybe not the rallies that he was holding just last week, but definitely getting back. And they still haven't canceled that next presidential debate, too, which is now in less than 2 weeks. And that falls within the 14-day quarantine time period that he should be abiding by. And so President Trump, really, when it comes down to it, he runs the show. And it sounds like he wants to get back as soon as possible.
That's right. Thanks so much, Jesse Tenner out of Washington. But let's stick with talking about Washington. Attorney General William Barr has now decided to self-quarantine after possibly being exposed to the coronavirus. Barr initially said he wouldn't quarantine after possibly being exposed to the virus at the White House nomination event for Amy Coney Barrett for the Supreme Court. But it's unclear how long Barr will have to self-quarantine. A Justice Department spokesperson says Barr has undergone 4 different COVID tests since Friday, all of which have returned negative. And you heard Jesse talk about it. The upcoming vice presidential debate, new social guidelines will be in place at that debate on Wednesday in Salt Lake City. Sources familiar with the planning tell NBC News that the Commission on Presidential Debates has agreed to seat Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris 12 feet apart. The original plan, 7 feet apart. Both campaigns agreed to the change, and negotiations to put more space between them were underway before President Trump even tested positive for COVID-19. And moving out west, some more sad news. Deadly wildfires in California have now scorched more than 4 million acres, making it the most land burned in just a single year. Take a look at this video. California fire officials said the state hit a record-breaking milestone just yesterday on Sunday. The 4 million acres equates to more than 6,000 miles, or land larger than the whole state of Connecticut. There's still about 2 months remaining in their fire season. And from fire to water, the tropics active once again. Tropical Depression 26 has strengthened to now Tropical Storm Delta. The storm now looking to hit the Gulf Coast in just the coming days. We want to bring in one of our experts, meteorologist Tom and Giboy from Mobile, Alabama, to look at that track. What's it looking like right now? I mean, last time I checked, it was around Jamaica, if I'm right there.
Yeah, it's still around Jamaica. It's just south of Jamaica in the west central Caribbean. This is one of 2 tropical storms that are out there. We're tracking Tropical Storm Gamma, which is near the Yucatan Peninsula. That doesn't pose a foreseeable threat to the United States. But what we're watching very closely is Tropical Storm Delta. Like you mentioned, this was Tropical Depression 26, and it's just hard to believe that we've already had 26 tropical systems out there so far. Currently has winds of 45 miles per hour. It's moving to the west at 7 miles per hour. And the forecast as we move forward takes this continuing moving to the west-northwest, eventually working its way towards the tip of Cuba in between the Yucatan Peninsula, and it is now forecast to become a Category 1 hurricane before moving into the southern Gulf of Mexico. As it moves into the Gulf of Mexico, additional strengthening is expected, and as it moves into the west-central Gulf of Mexico, it's going to start to turn more towards the north, most likely as a Category 2 hurricane. Then we could be talking about a landfall somewhere along the north-central Gulf of Mexico sometime late Thursday into early Friday. The timing's still a little bit up in the air, and there's still a lot of question marks with this forecast. They still could go a little bit farther east, it could go a little bit farther west, and there are still some question marks when it comes to the intensity. But the National Hurricane Center currently targeting southeast Louisiana for a possible landfall, but a landfall is still possible anywhere from the Texas-Louisiana line all the way over to northwest Florida to just west of the Big Bend of Florida. So these areas, they've already been impacted by hurricanes so far this year. So we'll have to continue to watch this very closely over the coming days, and we'll start to get a better picture of things over the coming days as well. But anyone from the central Texas coast over to the Big Bend of Florida needs to be watching this very closely, needs to start those tropical preparations just in case, and maybe resupply those hurricane kits once again. It's the same old story so far this hurricane season, but Tropical Storm Delta does look like it's going to be a landfalling hurricane sometime later this week, Hillary.
Thanks so much, Thomas. We'll continue to watch that throughout the week. Thanks, Thomas, out of Mobile, Alabama, for us. And let's move over in the East. This is a great story. A Vietnam War hero in Virginia was recently surprised with an honor that brought him to tears. Drew Wilder explains just how the whole thing was all thanks to a detective who went above and beyond just to right a wrong.
Thomas Fileski pulls up to the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office and meets with the detective working his case. Last year, Thomas and his wife Lisa were on vacation when burglars tore through their home and robbed their safe, stealing tens of thousands of dollars worth of property.
Jewelry and all of his medals.
Military medals earned for heroism in combat serving our country. That caught the detective's attention.
Once he found out Tom was a Marine, then that was the end of that.
Detective Corona is a retired Marine, and Thomas doesn't know this yet, but he's called Thomas here today to surprise him and honor his bravery. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Fileski served in the United States Marine Corps and flew combat missions for the Navy in Vietnam.
He didn't just land safely, complete his mission, and leave. He stayed there under fire until all his Marines were lifted off. And that is a great American.
Detective Corona caught the burglars, but could not find Fileski's stolen medals. So on his own time, using his own money, the detective replaced them.
Brings me to the verge of tears to know that I have this much support in the community and from some good friends. I'm still in a state of shock because I never expected this.
Unexpected, but earned.
So many good people still in this world. Way to go, Detective Corona, spending his own money to make that happen. And as for Lieutenant Colonel Fileski, he said he had no idea this was coming. You could see he was emotional, but he was incredibly grateful and very surprised. And this all just coming a few days before his 84th birthday. So what a great birthday surprise too. And you know what I would love for my birthday? This, an extremely rare and flawless white diamond that will be sold at a historic auction in Hong Kong. Y'all get online and pick this up for me. 102.39 carat diamond, described as one of the Earth's rarest and most coveted wonders. I got a big hand. I think that would look great. And it's going to go on sale at that auction in Hong Kong today. The flawless oval white diamond is the second largest of its kind ever to be offered at an auction. Whoever gets that is one lucky son of a gun. That is a beauty. Woo! Well, let's talk about something. This is pretty neat. Not as neat as that diamond, but pretty cool. University of Washington researchers have come up with a groundbreaking piece of technology. It's actually a wearable camera for very tiny insects. And as reporter Michael Crowell shows us, this small tech could really have some big implications.
Talk about a new perspective.
It is a fully wireless camera that can stream videos to a smartphone.
That camera condensed the weight of a paperclip and attached with a tiny drop of super glue to this beetle. The culmination of months of work for Vikram Iyer, a PhD student at the University of Washington.
It's a little hard to tell right now, how big this is going to get, but hopefully it'll be really useful for all kinds of things.
And those applications are what excites him, getting a bird's eye or bug's eye view into things we couldn't easily observe before.
You can actually see from their perspective what the world looks like. See, I think the King 5 logo there, and maybe, oh, there's your name.
That is honestly just amazing from such a small camera.
Yep.
But what's also interesting is this is essentially a tiny computing platform ready to be modified. And this technology already gave birth to something that could be in use any day now.
And so this graph is going to show that signal strength changing over time as it goes further away.
Trackers to follow live Asian giant hornets back to their nests, so the state can find and eradicate the invasive species.
We've taken that little platform and we're adapting that to track these hornets.
After that, who knows what's next?
Really, like, the real world applications for something like this are basically endless, right?
Yeah, there are all kinds of applications we could use this for. If you need to build a robot that can fit into small spaces, you need a way to navigate around that environment, right? And vision is one of the major ways that, that people use to solve these problems.
I wonder how heavy that is on that little beetle's back. And he's got to have some steady hands to build a small little camera like that. I don't think I could do it. Well, that's all the time we have for our show. Don't worry, we'll be right back here tomorrow having a good time. Same place, same time. We hope you join us. Have a great Monday, everyone. Make it the best one yet.